mask on? Yeah, one second.
Dramatic video shows lawmakers and staff inside the House chambers. Rioters stormed the building yesterday afternoon. Now, some lawmakers were trapped on the second floor that's known as the House Gallery after representatives on the first floor were evacuated. You can actually hear what sounds like gunshots and see lawmakers hiding behind the gallery railing, as some of them even put on emergency masks. Now, we have an image that shows Representative, take a look at this. This is Jason Crow from Colorado and Representative Susan Wild, oh my goodness, of Pennsylvania, crouching down together. They join us now to talk about that. I'm so glad that the two of you are okay. Listen, guys, I thought it was traumatizing just seeing the picture sitting in the safety of my home from my kitchen table. I can't imagine what it was like for the two of you. Jason, if you would start us off, please. Congressman Crow, what exactly is happening in this moment?
Well, this is the moment where we got trapped in the House chamber. They had evacuated leadership as soon as the outer cordon, the security barrier, had been broken at the Capitol. Then they evacuated the members who were on the House floor, and then they started to evacuate us. But by that point, the mob, the rioters, had broken in and had surrounded the chamber, so they closed the doors, and we had to lock the doors and started to barricade them to prevent the mob from getting in. And they were trying to ram down the doors, and we were at that point thinking we might have to fight our way out.
You were clearly comforting your colleague there at that moment. Why did you think that was necessary? My heart goes out to you, Susan Wild, because I could see the concern on your face. Jason, what were you thinking as you looked at her?
Well, I mean, Susan is my friend, and I was upset about the situation. She was upset about it, and I did what I think any friend would want to do, and just let her know that I was there for her and that we would get through it.
Yeah. Susan Wild, what was going through your mind at that moment? Did you think your life was in danger at that particular time?
I think I did believe that. There was chaos and confusion. I had never been in a situation like that, unlike my colleague here who has been in combat situations. I had not. It was terribly concerning. That photograph was actually first sent to me by my adult son, who texted it to me later in the day. Needless to say, that's not what you want your children to see.
You FaceTimed your children during this, didn't you? What did you say to them?
What did you say?
I actually, that's my daughter, yeah, that you're showing on the screen, her name. And yes, I asked my children to call me, and we FaceTimed very briefly. I didn't know what was going to happen next, and I wanted to make sure that I had some communication with them. It was the last thing in the world I wanted to do. I was afraid that it would just terrorize them, but at the same time, if the worst happened, I didn't want them to not have heard from me.
Yeah, as a child, to see your parents in that situation, I know that was very upsetting. We understand that you all were taken to a secure location. Can you say now where that was? How many people were in the room? And what did you all talk about at that moment?
Well, we were taken to the Ways and Means Committee room, which is probably the largest committee room. It's over in Longworth. And I would say at its peak, there were about somewhere close to 400 people in there, mostly members, but some staff. It wasn't nearly big enough as a room, considering the current pandemic and social distancing issues and so forth. There were an awful lot of unmasked members, Republicans, who were specifically asked to put their masks on. That just added another layer of stress to a very, very stressful day.
Did you talk about how you were going to proceed after all of this ended?
Well, I think we're still processing what exactly happened, and I think as I have about 3 hours of sleep under my belt right now, and I think Susan has about the same. But as I've reflected more on it, frankly, I'm pretty angry right now. I'm angry about the traitors who stormed the Capitol.
You called this a coup on Twitter.
Yeah, that was their intent, to stop the transition of power. And I don't know what else to call it. That's what was happening. They delayed it, but they did not stop it, because our democracy and our government is stronger than these treasonous traitors. But they need to be brought to justice, and they need to be brought to justice fast.
Are you angry at the president too, Congressman Crow? Many believe he incited this. Can you talk about that?
Well, it's not a question of whether or not they believe he incited it. This isn't a question of the Tooth Fairy or Santa Claus. He did incite this directly. These are his words. He did it. He is a violent man. He's an ill man. But this is not a story about Donald Trump anymore, because we have known for many, many years who he is. This should come as no surprise. This is really a story of the enablers, the members of Congress, the inner circle, the members who have allowed us to get to this point.
Are you concerned that that this happened? That this was allowed to happen in the first place? How do you feel that Capitol Police responded, and how do you feel the city police responded?
You know, that's something that still remains to be determined. We were inside the building the entire day, so we didn't have the opportunity to see what was happening, but we have since seen video and clips, and it's very concerning. As I said to Jason just before we came on the show, it's not just about the safety of members of Congress, but in the average day when we're not in a pandemic, thousands of members of the public are scattered throughout the Capitol. The idea that building can be stormed so easily and that security can be overcome and literally take over the Capitol for an extended period of time. This wasn't just a brief thing. You've seen the pictures of these people scattered throughout the building, taking pictures of themselves with, so very, very concerning for all of us.
Yeah, thank you for the reminder that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah,
yes.
People need to know, listen, we're still living in very dangerous times.
Representatives Jason Crow and Susan Weil, thank you both for joining us this morning, and we are glad you are
Glad you're okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Ahead